Sure, Kiruba. Thanks for that super exciting introduction. Um, but it's really good to be part of this forum today. I actually come from an era where I started work where communication was through telex machines. And for the youngsters who are on this group, you can Google what actually a telex machine is. I won't go into that, but it is an absolutely an incredible journey that the industry and what India has achieved. And then today it's being part of a forum that talks about digitalization automation is a great feeling. So I work for an organization called Ace Turtle. We are a tech native retail company that is spearheading the transformation from a retail industry perspective. Our intent is that we wish to build a tech mindset in everything that we do. So right from anything to do with our consumer experience to our store activities and then integrating them back right down to our supply chains. That's the whole idea that we run an asset light model that is based on tech intervention and ensuring that the manual errors are minimized and you have as much of data telling you to take the right decisions. We are proud to be associated with iconic brands like Lee, Wrangler, Toys R Us, and Babies R Us, where we're making sure that we set the stones for a successful journey on retail right through tech transformation. So very happy to be here, Kiruba. Thanks for that.
Thank you so much. What a nice thing is you deal with Toys R Us and a highly fashionable brands, very different game together. You really can't apply the same formula to both the businesses. Very nice, I'm sure. We'll hear from you as how do you handle it. So we have a biggest buying and sourcing fraternity here, and what do you think digitalization in sourcing means? What are the pros and what are the difficulties that we would undergo if we need to go on a complete digitalization for sourcing?
That's a pretty expansive topic, but I'll start first with why we need to do this. Yeah. So everyone knows, and I'm glad that you said that a number of people on this call are from the sourcing fraternity. Our primary task is to put it simply is get the right product with the right quality at the right price and at the right time to be delivered to the warehouse and the stores. Now, how do you go about doing that? So a large part of sourcing is to make sure that your organizational skills are absolutely perfect. Your mapping to your suppliers is absolutely on track to deliver the right product. That you're sourcing your components for manufacturing from the right sources that deliver the right quality and the right pricing. But most importantly also is that you've got to make sure that you're able to forecast whether your product is going to deliver on time or not, because that has a large impact on the sell-through of a product. And we all know how everyday sales can impact on the longevity of a product. You're living in a world of markdowns, so every single minute counts. Now, when you're sitting in a world where everything is fast-paced, data is an integral part of taking your decision. How do you go about making sure that that data is coming in into a meaningful way? And that's how the transformation through digitalization and automation comes through. And for sourcing especially, I would propose that there are three things to be taken into consideration. One is, of course, the platform that you're using to digitize your operations. Now, there are several in the industry, I won't name them, but there are several successful models that are operating. So that's one piece at getting your platform right. The second part, of course, is then what do you intend to get out of it? A number of times what happens is data is presented, but you're not able to analyze it. So you've got to set in place a workflow, a process flow, and an outcome flow. How is it that you wish to read that data in order for you to take steps that will help you prevent being reactive and head you more towards the proactive stage so that you're able to forecast whether your product is going to land on time or not. And then, of course, last part in terms of getting a solution in place for digitalization automation is, and I think my fellow speakers mentioned this as well, is the culture of the people who are going to do it. Yeah. So it's a critical piece in building a culture in the organization And this is not just internal organization, even externally. We've got to build in the thought process and do it with such an emphasis because this is the future. Yeah. Unless and until we adopt this into our mindset to say, okay, this is the way how my decision making process is going to take place on different aspects, not just on sourcing. I mean, sourcing is one part, of course, but across the whole chain, right from manufacturing, going right up to retail and selling, everything has to be thought with the thought process that how is it that data can be integrated, how tech can be integrated to make sure that the right things are being done from a consumer perspective as well. Yeah. So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. Sorry.
Great, great. It's such an insight, right? Be reactive, be proactive rather than being reactive. And I'm
Yeah.
sure OTIF is the biggest thing that all of us really work on day in, day out. I'm sure digitalization is going to help that. What is your idea, or what is your viewpoints on handling the inventory management, or how does a digitalization help in really keeping that OTIF better? I mean, like, what are the pros basically for the DNA?
So I'll tell you first from an inventory perspective, inventory can make or break you. I'm sure everybody recognizes that. Yeah. So I'm a little biased because I come from a sourcing background and I'd love to work with, volumes that are really large and easier to manage. The fact of the matter is that today's world, the consumer wants width and therefore the depths are shrinking. Now, when depths are shrinking, you obviously have to have a very keen eye on understanding how is it that your inventory is being managed. And rather than sourcing being just a input point to say, okay, here's an order, now convert it, we've got to start thinking to say, listen, how is it that we integrate our daily sales? So I absolutely resonate with what Suchita mentioned, the solutions around vendor managed inventory, on demand, manufacturing is something that can happen only if brands are connecting their everyday, every hour sales right to the back end, to the supply chain. How is it that integration is happening? That will enable everyone to ensure that they are forecasting on their raw material procurement. How is it that they're going to forecast accurately on capacity management? And then in a quick turnaround time, ensure that the right products and the right volumes are being delivered to the brand. So inventory is a critical part, and that management can happen by making sure that there's a huge amount of digitalization and of the data that is being done to give you the right insights on how much to order, when to order, and what are the trigger points behind that. From a time and action perspective, Kiruba, this is a critical piece. Which is I know, and because I've done it myself a number of years. A number of time what happens is that we're just given an Excel which has got these 20 milestones, and my bosses in the past have told me, Mohit, this needs to be filled in every other day and you've got to do a update with me. And a number of times I used to feel that what am I doing? I'm putting in a date on an activity, post the activities, of course. But the analysis coming out of it, where is the analysis for me to react in a way that will help me again make sure that I'm on top of the game. Yeah. So from a time and action perspective, it's a critical piece to make sure that you start digitizing it. This is no longer the simple cells to be filled in and daily routine work to be done. This is something that should drive the sourcing organization of any brand to ensure that the right decisions are being taken and the right forecasting is being done so that the sales, the brand front end brand teams are taking the right steps from an inventory perspective, from a sales target perspective, everything. So time and action is going to be far more integrated, and at Ace Turtle, what we do is we make sure that our time and actions are not just data entry points; these are data output points that deliver key actionables on everything that we intend to do.
All right, amazing. Yeah, I know at times the team comes and says that, we have become a data entry operator more than following up with suppliers. So I know that's a challenge of Excel, but I'm sure today you're getting an email on, hey, today is a day for lab dip and this is the day for processing it. that makes life simpler and really ensures that we really focus on technology rather than just doing a bit of what we are not supposed to do. Sure. After all these advantages, we still have not reached to the peak of digitalization and automation in sourcing. What do you think is the roadblock? I'm sure you touched upon culture, but is there anything beyond that is the problem today?
I think the penetration of tech in supply chain is absolutely abysmally low. So yes, culture is one thing, but the adoption rate is also again very, very low. And even if there's an adoption, it's more like a forced adoption because brands are saying they want to do this, and therefore the manufacturing community says that I have to adopt it if I have to work with a brand. So it's the mindset shift that will be delivered across all points on the supply chain and front end that clearly and visibly show the impact that's going to come through. So you will make sure that the impact of digitalization is giving you higher efficiencies in response times, in reaction times, in being more proactive, cutting down on your costs. So at Ace Turtle, we've taken some very simple steps. So we have QR codes for different types of activities, where all that a manufacturer has to do is that once that activity has been completed, you scan the QR code and it automatically gets uploaded into our system saying that the task has been completed. Likewise, we have high definition digital cameras that are installed in our mills and our factories. So why spend money on a runner or a courier company to send something for an approval? Just take a high definition, image of the product that you wish to approve, send it across. You've got high resolution, monitors in our office, and it's instant approval. So that is how we've got, and manufacturers are looking at, obviously these solutions because it's helping them cut down on their overheads, their efficiencies are improving, and brands have to start thinking like this as well to say how is it that you integrate tech in everything that you do.
Amazing. I think net, it's speed to market. It's about making our life simpler. I think digitalization is automation is meant for that. Thank you so much, Mohit, for a wonderful insights, and it was too sharp and amazing to have you here, Mohit.
Thanks, Kiruba. Thank you.
Yeah.